Hello, everybody. Oh, thanks so much and welcome to the first of a live series. Hi, Laura. Just to give you some background on what we're going to be discussing today, we have Laura Schein with us, and we're going to be talking all about her big tips on stress, self-care, and sleep, and how to cope with that. And then she's also going to be sharing some of her journey with the box. And just to give you some background, because this is the first episode of this series, I created the box. I'm Leah Simon, founder of the Box Co., creator of the Comeback Box, and I created it to make self-growth attractive, approachable, affordable, and along the way, I've met so many amazing people, both in my life and creating the box, and I want to bring them on here and allow them to start unboxing their expertise for you. So that is the point of this series, and we're going to be unboxing functional medicine today. So I want to bring up Laura just to give you a quick background. She is an actor, she's a writer, she's the co-host of the functional medicine podcast, What the Func. She is a super creative, inspiring woman, and I think she brings all of that entertainment to her podcast. I like to say she really puts the fun into functional medicine. So let me bring her up. By the way, I've never done one of these before, so please be gentle with me. I am trying to figure it. Okay, she should be coming on. Hey, Chloe. Hey, Rachel. Hey, Andrea.
Hi.
Hi, Laura.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Happy Passover, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, wait, are you a member of the tribe as well? Are you Jewish?
Yeah. Leah Simon?
Leah
Come on.
Simon. Okay. Good Pesach to you.
Did you get a chance to see your family, or did you do a Zoom?
We did a little Zoom for my mom's 71st birthday, which was like the day before Passover that we did that. And then, I'm actually going to get to see them pretty soon. And at the end of April, I'm super excited. Yeah. So I haven't seen my sister since before pandemic, since she came to see Emoji Land, the musical I did off Broadway in February of last year. So yeah, a long time ago. So I'm super excited to reunite with the family.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And about Emoji Land, I was listening to the soundtrack earlier today. So much fun. Everybody, it's on Spotify. Laura is the star and co-creator. It's amazing, off Broadway. Laura, I don't know if you want to tell them a little bit about it.
Thanks. Yeah. Emoji Land it's a musical about emojis that live inside of a cell phone. And there's an update in the phone and some new emojis get introduced into the world. And then eventually a virus gets released into the phone and the emojis start getting deleted. And it becomes basically like a huge existential crisis. And it was very weirdly prescient. And we wrote it, obviously, way before Corona. So, I don't know, somehow life and art really collided when we were off Broadway singing "Virus!" literally as the world was like shutting down because of a virus. So,
wow.
Kind of crazy.
That's amazing. So yeah, is it ever going to come to LA?
Yeah, eventually okay. Will. Yeah, we're talking about where it's going to happen next. So just stay tuned. There's going to be more Emoji Land to come.
Okay, amazing. So real quick for everybody, because I've been learning the whole live functionality. If you want to ask a question, just go down to the little question icon and you can put that question in there. Laura's going to be focusing on sleep, stress, and self-care, but I think she's open to any functional medicine question. Also, Laura did the box, and she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey with it. And if you have any questions about the box, yay, we're going to be talking a little bit about that. And two other things, live only discount. I'm announcing it right now. You can get 30% off the box for the live, and for like an hour after, I'm going to leave it open. So it's 30% off. And the code is unboxing FM. If somebody wants to write that in the chat for me, it's unboxing FM for functional medicine. And we're also going to give away a consultation with Laura. So one person's going to win that on the live, which is super exciting. And we just want to do this because obviously you're showing up here, you're super committed, and we want to get back to you. So, okay, we'll start with the box. How was it? Like, how did you feel about it?
It was super awesome. It's so I have it actually. I brought it down with me, so I have it right here. But I love it. Honestly, from the moment I opened it, I was honestly in awe of its beauty. It's put together in the most like gorgeous, creative, like delicate way. There's just obviously so much care and love that you put into these. So you feel that when you open it. The cards are so beautiful. I mean, I just love all like the artwork too. And like, it's really, did you do all the artwork?
I had a designer that helped me actually. Yeah. I thought what they did that I thought was so brilliant was the cards look like playing cards.
They do. They do. Idea. It's like a deck. Like a deck of cards.
So I liked it because it started to feel like a game.
Yeah, no, it totally did. And honestly, so I did mine, it's a 28-day experience. So I actually did mine all of February, which has 28 days. So it was perfect. Nice. And I started every morning with it. So I've actually, it's interesting. So I was never a morning person, especially when I was doing the show in New York. I honestly would go to bed at 4 a.m. and wake up honestly sometimes at like noon, which is terrible and so different than my life right now. But yeah, over pandemic, I got into like a morning routine, which is totally new for me. So I've been getting up much earlier than I ever have as a theater night owl. And I've started like meditating in the mornings. And so this box really became like my morning routine starting February 1st. And I love it. So it's called the Comeback Box. And it was like totally exactly what I needed in this moment of my life. But every day feels like somehow I don't know how it happened, but every day, whatever the card was focusing on for that day really lined up with what was going on in my life. Like in a weird way where like there was one day that was all about kind of like spring cleaning and like Marie Kondoing your life and kind of getting rid of old energy. And like the day that I picked out that card happened to be a day that, my co-host and partner in life, Clayton Ferris, was like brought up the fact that I literally woke up that morning and I was like, I gotta tell him that I want to help him clean his room, because he kept saying like how his room was like, really bothering him, that it was messy. And in the card, you talk about how the state of your room and the state of your home reflects the state of your mind. And I was like, today I gotta tell him that I gotta help him clean his room, because it's good. That's why he's feeling anxious. And then he actually, of his own volition, I didn't even talk to him about the box or anything. He, that day, was like, I'm cleaning my room. I realized I have to. And so that day I ended up helping him clean his room. And, it was, anyway, so every day was like that, is what I'm saying. Every day that whatever the box was bringing me was somehow exactly what I needed to hear.
That's so cool.
It was really fun.
I'm so glad that you were connected to it energetically.
I was, yeah. And I loved all the different, like, all the little, like, tokens, like the flowers and the glass bottle where you write 3 things to remind yourself when you have a moment of, like, anger or tension. And the 3 things I wrote for myself is, I wrote breathe deep, practice gratitude, stretch body. Those are the things I need to do if I start feeling out of sorts. And I haven't had to break it yet, but it's here when I have to break it.
Yeah, just a little thing. I just want to check real quick and see if anybody has asked any questions. Okay, if anybody has any questions in the box, just hit that little question icon. And then, oh, the little icon next to it, if you want to send it to a friend, like if you think Laura could help them, you can send them and it'll ping them into this. Okay, well, I am so glad to hear that, the box really impacted you that way. I was just thinking about cleaning recently because I know we're going to talk about self-care, but I've really started embracing that me cleaning is a form of self-care. Like, I feel like we talk about self-care often with our body, like self-care is a bubble
Mhm.
bath and self-care is a facial and self-care
Right.
is a spa day. But I started trying to reframe putting away my laundry as self-care
Yeah.
because it feels so good when I do it, but I never want to do it. But if I think about it as self-care,
Mm,
then it occurs to me differently. It's like a
totally.
little, yeah,
And I love that because the way that the energy in your space affects your internal energy. So when you
yeah,
think of all of those as one, and that honestly is like with functional medicine, it is like this whole systems approach that we think about. Everything is connected. That's what I love about functional medicine. So it is this idea that like, yeah, the state of your room is connected to the state of your emotions.
yeah. That's the way it is for me. I don't know if it is for everybody, but if let me post, sorry, there's a new question. If the box gets you to get like the men in your life to clean, like that's an added bonus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, question from Andrea who asks, what was your favorite day?
Ooh, okay. It was definitely the chrysalis day where I brought my artwork here. But I loved this day all about like rebirth and like the struggle, how like there's beauty in the struggle and learning about like, like what the butterfly has to go through to become the butterfly.
Right.
It's a lot of work and it's not pretty while
Yes.
it's happening. And if the butterfly were to give up through all that struggle, it wouldn't fly free. So
Yeah.
I really loved that day, and I loved that. I loved this drawing, and I have it displayed actually in my room on my wall too. But I brought it down because I wanted to share it. But that was my favorite day.
So for anybody who hasn't done the box, that day is all about kind of meditating on how when a caterpillar is in its chrysalis, if you made even like the tiniest slit and tried to help it get out because you're excited to see it become a butterfly, it actually wouldn't be strong enough to fly because it's the struggle within the chrysalis and to get out that really makes it strong enough to fly. And it's something that always resonated with me. And when I'm going through a tough time, I try and think about that, that there is beauty and strength in the struggle.
There's beauty in the
And
breakdown. I love
beauty in
that
the
song.
breakdown. Great song. Great song. And the way that sort of the box was like sending you messages at secret times, right when I launched the company on my patio, a caterpillar was on the little light string that I have out there,
Ah,
and I was watching it because the artist and I studied a lot about chrysalis and what they looked like to develop that drawing,
yeah.
and it became a chrysalis. And
Ooh,
so I had everyone who had done the box on this text group, and I was sending them updates every day. And it's so cool. I'd never seen one before in my life, but it's completely true. You can see the wings inside as they develop. It's
that's
beautiful.
so cool. I love it. Yeah. And I love that. I really loved the days that had these like activities, these kind of like art projects incorporated into them. It was super fun. It was kind of like, I don't know, I felt like I was like back in school. Every morning I was like, okay, it's time for class. And I
Yeah,
open up my box and be like, okay, what's on the docket for today? It
yeah.
was really fun.
I was the arts and crafts specialist at a summer camp, and I feel like I tried to incorporate some like art projects for adults.
Yeah, no, that's what it felt like. I loved it.
Very cool. Okay, so let's get into functional medicine. I'm just going to make sure, okay, we're good on the questions. So let's start talking about functional medicine. If anybody has a question, just go in there and ping it. And Laura, I would just love for you to start by explaining what functional medicine is.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, first of all, our first episode of What the Func, which is this podcast that I co-host with Clayton Ferris, if you don't know about it yet. Uh, and so the first episode we actually called What is Functional Medicine? Like what the Func is functional medicine. And because it is fairly a new term and there's a lot of confusion around it. So actually in the first episode we went around to people like randomly at the grocery store and outside and asked them what functional medicine was, and it was interesting to get people's answers what they thought it was. Honestly, a child's answer was the most accurate. It was like medicine that's functional, that helps your body function. They're like, yeah, exactly. But anyway, functional medicine basically is all about getting to the root cause. That's kind of like our mantra in functional medicine. We get to the root. So you don't just treat the symptoms, you treat the root cause. You go back to the beginning. So it's a whole systems approach. It's about not looking at things as all separate from each other, but how everything is connected. So it's honestly a lot of detective work that
Okay.
it empowers the person, it empowers the patient, because it's all about like connecting things from your life and why one thing is happening because something else happened, and they may seem totally unrelated, but then when you really start to look at everything together you realize that, oh, there is this connection. And that's sort of what functional medicine seeks to do, is make those connections.
That's amazing. I have a really dear friend of mine who's going through all of these stomach issues right now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's going on this whole kind of inner journey because it feels to her like it's psychological and emotional things that are just manifesting um, in her stomach. So I don't know, is that functional medicine? Okay.
100%. And the gut, we've actually learned the gut is like the other brain. The gut controls so much of what goes on. So it's 100% connected. And I
Right.
think that's like the main thing that people first have to really grasp, is that food is medicine, and that what you put into your body, I mean, Hippocrates said it back in the day, but food is thy medicine. And what you put in to your body really, really affects you in all sorts of ways. And the gut is so much in control of everything that's going on.
Yeah, I've thought about that a lot when it comes to like digestive issues. It seems very psychological to me because you're literally holding on to stuff and you're not letting go.
Right.
So when you work with a functional medicine coach, do you sort of identify, okay, this is based in maybe a psychological, emotional issue, and then you refer them to someone else, or do you then work through all that with them?
Well, I think, a functional medicine health coach will work with someone to really figure out, okay, where are all of these, where are first of all, what are the issues that are plaguing you the most, and why did you decide to see a health coach in the first place. And we start there, and then we go back. There's something called the functional medicine matrix, where you kind of look at your history, and you look at not only your health history but also your emotional history and what's going on in your relationships and your family. And you look at all of that. And then when you really start to sort of do that detective work and get to the root of, interestingly, all of these issues kind of started around this time. What was going on in your life when that started? Let's go deeper. And then if it gets to a point where it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe now is a good time to go work out some of these things with a different professional, whether it's a psychologist or you have to see like a GI doctor or something. But
Yeah.
but yeah, the health coach is kind of like, I don't know. I like to think of the health coach as, it's like helping you go from where you are to where you want to be, and sort of like being that partner in the journey.
Yeah.
And so whether that's, yeah, referring to other professionals, or just, maybe someone already kind of knows what they have to do. They've already seen all these professionals and they just need help implementing all of these practices into their life. Then a health coach like can really come in and say, all right, let's start from the moment you wake up. How do we implement all of these things into your day-to-day life, so it doesn't feel like a chore, but it feels like, something that you look forward to doing.
Yeah, totally. I worked with a naturopathic doctor once,
Mm-hmm.
and it was back when I was a vegan and I was having all of these stomach issues. And she had me keep a journal, and I'd already gone to a bunch of doctors who couldn't figure out what was wrong with me because I was eating like kale and beans and really healthy things.
Yeah.
And she had me keep a journal, and we figured out that I was allergic to soy. And
Mm-hmm.
this is back in like 2003 when everything was soy milk, soy cheese.
Yeah.
But she had a totally different approach and discovered something, nobody else could. Is naturopathic and functional medicine, are they related?
Yeah, very closely related. I mean, that's, I think, the thing, like naturopathic, holistic, alternative medicine,
Mhm.
they're all sort of in the same family. What differentiates functional medicine is that it's science based and science backed, and like functional medicine doctors are, they're trained as MDs first,
Got it. Got
and then they get a functional medicine certification on top of that.
it. Okay, great. Oh, sorry. I was trying to check the questions. Okay, so before we move into sleep, stress, and self-care, if you guys have any questions for Laura, just shoot them out. But since we were talking about the stomach stuff, do you want to talk about kind of managing stress?
Yeah. So we recently interviewed this very smart psychologist on the podcast named Heidi Hanna, I love this definition of stress, but she describes stress as when demand exceeds capacity.
Oh, I love
And I think like that, it's totally, totally resonates.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that stress is so underestimated, as it's, I mean, actually, and she gave us some statistics, but stress is actually like, it is the number one underlying cause of all disease. It just is. And
Wow.
I mean, I know for me too, like I've always been I've always been like a health nut. I've always been focused on trying to eat healthy and work out and all of those things. But I think I really neglected to look at my stress level. And, like cortisol is the stress hormone. And my cortisol levels, I had them checked once or twice, and both times they were like through the roof. And I was someone who, when I was young, I started fainting. And so like there's the fight, we all know about fight or flight, but it's
Yeah.
actually like fight, flight, or freeze are the three stress responses that the body goes into when demand exceeds capacity. And when it gets to a crazy level. And so for
Sure.
me, my default mode was the freeze. I fainted if I got into a situation that was too stressful. And I never really addressed it. It was just like, it was this thing that I was always scared that I was going to faint. And it wasn't until I really started like breath work, till I started breathing and meditating and doing yoga, that I got it under control. But I was someone who, when I would feel out of control, I would feel too stressed, I would like shut down, and I would have panic attacks, and they would become really debilitating. So yeah, so I started yoga, and that is what got me to start like breathing the right way, breathing deeply. And yeah, and I've been working on it. I try to meditate. I try to meditate twice a day, between 10 and 20 minutes. And it's a lifesaver, because we're always trying to get our bodies from the sympathetic state to the parasympathetic state. And anything you can do,
What's parasympathetic?
parasympathetic that's the relaxed state.
Okay.
That's where we want to live, is in the parasympathetic state. And so there's all different ways to get there. Essential oils are great too. Like we talked to this expert in essential oils, this doctor who is really wonderful, Jody Cohen, who wrote this book, like healing through essential oils, and just like breathing in some calming scents, and I mean, there's all different forms of meditation. I've never done like TM or anything like that. Clayton did TM and really loved it, and has like a mantra that he does.
Okay.
But I just kind of, I just kind of close my eyes and just try to, I started doing, this like breath pattern of like in for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. And apparently like a longer exhale is very helpful in calming and getting you to go into the parasympathetic state.
Okay.
So I've been working on that. And for me, and really I try to just take a moment if I feel like because I tend to be like a go kind of person. And I have to remind myself, like, even a train stops, you gotta stop sometimes.
Oh, I love that. Even a train stops. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love that you're into oils. I have a diffuser. My friend was into oil years ago, and it's part of my morning ritual is filling it up, putting the oils in there. And then I have one in my bedroom, and I put lavender oil in it.
I do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
But
it.
I feel like it's great for the scent, but it also, in California, it's so dry that it just keeps moisture here, good for the skin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So if anybody has a question on stress, like jump on in. And Laura, I know you were chatting, but people are loving this. Like they loved the when demand exceeds capacity. They're commenting on that. So thanks so much again, for coming on.
Yeah.
Okay, so stress. So now you want to talk about sleep?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so sleep. I mean, sleep is so, I do think we're moving into a new phase where people are starting to honor sleep, where I feel like we used to be in this stage where it was like, it was cool to not sleep. It was cool to be like, like oh my God, I usually get like, I don't know, 3-4 hours. Like I don't sleep. But
I feel like it was a badge of honor for people. Like if you didn't sleep, that meant you were like a hard worker.
Yes. And I went so many years of my life with like the worst sleep schedule, the worst sleep patterns. I mean, I would never go to bed before 2. And, sometimes I would stay up till like 4. I mean, when I was in New York, I didn't go to sleep till like 4. And I was just on a terrible schedule. And sometimes I would go a few days without sleeping because I was like in the middle of like a creative process. And, we were just like, let's just stay up all night and keep going. And then we'd burn out and get sick. And I was like on this horrible roller coaster for years. And it wasn't honestly until like the pandemic that I started like focusing on sleep and learning about how important it is. And I got to interview this really amazing doctor, Michael Bruce, who's a sleep expert. He's like Paris Hilton's sleep doctor. He's like the sleep doctor to the stars. He's really amazing. Check him out. And there's an episode we did on sleep with him. I think is one of my faves. But he talks about chronotypes, how we all have these chronotypes. And he has a quiz on his website. I think it's like chronotypequiz.com or something. Okay. And you take this quiz and there are all these different types of animals. And depending on how you take this quiz, there are, so I was a bear. And bears, so was Clayton. We were both bears. And bears typically, like, their ideal bedtime is 11:30 p.m. and their ideal wake time is 7:30 a.m. And Dr. Bruce talks all about having a constant bedtime and wake time and keeping that.
I really struggle with that.
I do too. It's one of the hardest things for me because I'm like, oh, tonight I'm going to like stay up and watch a movie. And then, yeah. But he really stresses that if you can try to keep with this, because like it's natural. Like animals like have this schedule. So there are also lions. So if you're a lion, then you're someone who naturally wants to wake up earlier. You're maybe someone who gets up at like 6 or 7, and that just feels natural to you. And you want to go to bed earlier, like around 9:30, 10. And then there's dolphins who like to stay up super late. Anyway, it's interesting. And,
I think I might be a dolphin.
Okay, yeah.
My father and I, maybe I inherited, hi Sarah, maybe I inherited my dolphinness. My dad and I are both total night people. And then my mom and sister are morning people. It was, but I really long to be a morning person. I really want to when I do it and get into that ritual.
Yeah.
I feel so good.
Yeah.
It is just so easy for me, and especially like launching this company, I'll work on the website at night.
Mm,
My brain tends to wake up at night. Like
yeah.
I can have my most creative periods, and then I've read some other articles which are like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like
It's
if that's how you're functioning,
hmm
stop trying to fight it and
yeah.
find a way to do it and still be productive.
Well, that's what I think was really empowering about this chronotype quiz is that it says like, yeah, we're all different. There isn't a perfect bedtime and wake time for everybody. Everyone is different.
Right.
And so it's about like learning that about ourselves and then embracing that and then sticking to that. And so anyway, so I learned about that, which really
Yeah.
affected me. And I'm like, okay, I'm a bear. I'm going to try to stick to this 11:30, 7:30 deal. And it's really been helping me and really sticking to this kind of like ritual before bed. I really now I have this like I meditate for 10 minutes before I go to sleep. Actually started that in New York, and it always now helps me fall asleep. It's really hard. I mean, it's really helpful in
Sure.
yeah, in helping you like lull off to sleep. And then I found, okay, so the other thing is that I've learned about recently is blue light. So blue light like naturally comes from the sun, and blue light like increases cortisol, wakes us up. When you wake up first thing in the morning and you feel that sun on you, that's the blue light that you're supposed to be getting throughout the day. Now we have our devices, which has artificial blue light. And so we're staring at these screens all day, giving us artificial blue light, and it's tricking our brains into like waking us up. And during the day it's fine. I mean, the blue light can be a little too much, which is why like they have like blue light blocking glasses, which I have
Right.
here.
Oh, they're cute.
Thank you. So this company Blue Blocks, we
Blue
interviewed the
blocks.
guy who started this company, and it's really fascinating and how like you learn about how the cavemen and cave women, cave people, they when the sun went down, the only light that they had in their lives was from the fire, and that's this red light. And so now we at night, instead of seeing red light from fire, we see blue light at night because we're watching movies and we're still on our phones and we're still on our computers. And so like one of the best things you can do is as it starts to get dark out, they have like first you can either put red light bulbs, that in your bathroom or wherever, and they make these glasses with red lenses. So it's like red. I have mine upstairs, but like I have the same exact glasses, but they have like a red tint to them.
Uh-huh.
So everything has this kind of like amber, fiery glow to it.
Uh-huh.
And I put them on like half an hour to an hour before bedtime, and it naturally lowers your cortisol and like puts you more into the parasympathetic state and ready to go to bed. And it's changed. It's because I was someone who always got hyped up right before, and I always would look at my phone before bed because, I'm just naturally kind of a, workaholic. I'm like always like, all right, just check the email one more time. And I think they're really awesome. I think when we interviewed the guy who started that company, he gave us I think he gave us 20% off or something. So I can put that code in the chat if anyone like wants to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, or I'll check the questions real quick, but will you even just put the name of the company? Because I definitely want to get these.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have a fire pit. Do you think that if I'm like having a fire before bed, do you think that that's like putting me back in my natural state?
Totally. I think that's what our ancestors did. That's what we naturally want to do is like sit by the firelight at night. So I think that's great.
This is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to do that. Okay, I'm going to check the questions. If you want to put that name of the company.
Oh, yes.
Okay, here's a question. Yeah, it's hard to multitask. I don't want to be rude. I'm trying to like keep up with it while I'm listening to you, but this whole thing is a little overwhelming for me. By the way, I don't know if Christian Blair is still here, but he says it's a goal of mine to be the first Black and teenage Bach in Wicked on Broadway.
Yes. Get it.
I'm sure
Get
that's to you. Just wanted to throw that out
Don't
there.
give up.
Okay. So Andrea says, I've never been someone that sleeps very much. I usually only sleep 6 hours. How do you know how much your body needs?
Well, no one knows your body as well as you do. So if you feel refreshed after 6 hours and you feel like you have energy to sustain you throughout the day on 6 hours, then great. I think that's also a fallacy that we think that everyone needs 8 to 9 hours.
Right.
And that's just not true. Some people need more, some people need less. And that's also what functional medicine seeks to dispel the myth on, is that like it's not one size fits all. It's
Right.
Everybody is different and everybody needs something different. So if you feel great after 6 hours of sleep, yeah, go for it. I think that's awesome.
What about people who nap? Do you think that means they're not getting enough sleep, or is there a certain body type who like they do well with regular naps?
I think if you're napping, I think it's okay. It just, as long as these naps aren't too long. Like a 20-minute cat nap is great.
Uh-huh.
But if you're napping more than that, then that's probably a sign that something's off with your sleep. Also, and I didn't mention this, but I started wearing like a sleep mask when I sleep,
Okay.
to block out all the light. And so sometimes it's the quality of your sleep. You might be sleeping through the night and not waking up, but because there's blue light, coming through your window, or cars driving by and you don't even realize that light's coming through, it could actually be interrupting your sleep cycles. And so your circadian rhythms might be a little off. And even though you're sleeping through the night, you might be not going into the deepest sleep. And so the quality of your sleep, therefore, might be affected. And so, that might be why you need to nap longer.
Yeah, one thing just for everybody that I did was I got this app called Sleep Cycle.
Yeah.
And it was next to my bed, and it works by a microphone. So it's listening.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And one thing, like I'm a very deep sleeper. But one thing I learned through this app is I wasn't actually sleeping as much as I thought I would, as I was, because I was kind of clocking it from when I got into bed and when I woke up. And when I used this app, I started seeing that regularly I was only sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It gives you all these like graphs and charts. But if you're into your sleep, I don't know if you have another app you want to recommend, but
I actually haven't used a sleep tracker app yet, but I know I got to find a good one, because I've heard that is really helpful. I forget what it's called. I know my mom uses one that she loves, but yeah, but those sleep tracker apps are great, and that they can really be eye-opening to help you understand like what's really going on there. So that and there's something called Levels that I actually just got sent in the mail yesterday to try, because we're going to be interviewing them for the podcast. This Dr. Casey Means, she came up with this. It's like a metabolic tracker, but it also tracks your sleep too, and it'll tell you like the quality of sleep you're getting.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know, you attach a little thing to your arm. So I haven't tried it yet, but stay tuned. We'll do a podcast episode about it so you can learn about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And if you guys are just joining, we're talking to Laura. She is the co-host of What the Func, which is a functional medicine podcast. She's also an actor, writer. We're really focusing on sleep, stress, and self-care, but feel free to jump in with any question. I'm just checking the questions, and there's one about what is your ideal time. She's asking how many hours of sleep, but we sort of I think your answer for that was it's really personal.
Yeah, that I
Yeah,
think it depends on on the person. Yeah, to really listen to your body. If you feel great after 6 or 7 hours, awesome. Yeah, not
great.
everybody needs like 8 or 9 hours.
Oh, and Club Indigo says that this is so cute and helpful.
Oh
So thank you,
yeah.
Laura. Um, okay, so Pam asks, do you find as we get older we need less sleep?
That's a great question. Yeah, I think that is true. I actually was talking to my mom about that recently, who's just turned 71 last week, and she's super inspiring. And she's told me that she finds that she needs less sleep now. And she also is someone who used to be a night owl, and then she's now like, as we talked about, a lion, where she's like she gets up at the crack of dawn, and that's when she feels best, and she goes to sleep earlier. But she sleeps less than she used to. So I think that there might be something to that. Although I do know that like melatonin is something that we lose as we get older. So melatonin is the hormone that helps us go to sleep. So cortisol helps wake us up. Melatonin helps us calm down and go to sleep. So that's like using like the red light glasses. That's something that can help boost the melatonin to help you fall asleep more naturally. But you can also take melatonin. That's like a supplement. Although I did learn from Dr. Michael Bruce that taking too much melatonin is not good. So, you should at most be taking like 1.5 milligrams. There are some pills that come in like 12 milligrams or something, like you can get at CVS, and that's like way too much, he said. So, because
What
then
happens? What
you
happens? Do you just like
basically
sleep all day?
yeah, you wake up groggy the next
Okay.
day. Yeah, so just try to start with like 1.5 milligrams at most.
Okay.
And then if you need more, you're still having trouble falling asleep, then you can add more. But yeah, so we lose melatonin as we get older. So it would make sense that that adults, as you get older, taking a little more melatonin is really helpful.
Okay. Great. That makes me think about how teenagers sleep a lot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
maybe,
I mean, it also makes sense as you're growing.
yeah.
Yeah, it's more stressful on the body. You have to rest from that.
Um, okay, another question. How can menopause, and by the way, I don't want this to be like stump Laura. So the great thing about, like, I'm so envious of you, but the great thing about talking with Laura is because she's a podcast host, she has kind of picked the brains of all these amazing people. But I also just want to give you space that, you may not know the answer to all these. But
Oh yeah, no, I'll be the first one to say,
okay.
I don't know, I gotta look that up.
So next question is, how can menopause affect your sleep?
That's a great question, and and I'm not I'm certainly not an expert on menopause
Sure.
and hormones. And we actually we did interview a really fascinating, very intelligent doctor on the podcast, all about hormones, and we're going to do a specific episode on menopause. We haven't yet, but she's going to come back and talk to us about it. So be sure to check that out when it comes out. But I do know that our hormones are majorly affected throughout menopause. And so I do believe that your cortisol, if your cortisol is spiking, which I think happens a lot during menopause, then it's going to be harder to fall asleep. So you might have to counteract that with more melatonin. But I don't want to speak too much on it because I'm definitely not an expert on menopause. But I do know that, yeah, of course, menopause it's your hormones are what is affected. So it ultimately makes sense that, as these stress hormones are spiking, then it's going to be harder to fall asleep.
Right. Okay, great. I hope that was helpful, Andrea. And it looks like we've gotten through this sleep and stress questions. So are you ready to talk about self-care?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So I just kind of want to frame this as I've been thinking about a lot about self-care. The box is really a lot about self-care every day. And the box is doing it for 5 minutes to really build that muscle memory. because I think taking care of yourself is a muscle. It's like very easy to stop working out that muscle. And so for me, it's something I have to consciously do. So I know there's a lot of talk and accounts and things about self-care that talks, again, like we were saying before, about your body. Self-care is a bubble bath. Self-care is a candle. But I'd love to hear from you when it comes to self-care as how to take care of your mental and emotional state, what you think
Mhm.
is best.
I think honoring where you're at and and loving yourself for where you're at, even if where you're at is a state of turmoil. That's that's just where you're at. And I think the only way to move forward is to like as we were saying before, like the beauty and the breakdown is to embrace that mess,
Yeah.
honestly. And so, I've been, especially, during this time, which is so crazy, and we're all feeling very on edge, and there's a lot of intense emotions going on throughout this. And so I've been letting myself just feel what I feel. If I'm on a walk and I need to just cry, then I cry, and I don't judge myself for that. We
Yeah.
also talked to the Laughing Love Bugs, which are it's a couple, a married couple, and they teach laughing yoga.
Oh, I listened to this one. This was great. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and they're so great. And at first I was like, laughing yoga? Okay, what is this? And it's essentially like training your body to laugh, and apparently even fake laughter produces the same health benefits as genuine real laughter.
Okay.
So like really just laughing like like really just laughing like that, and it makes you like really laugh too because it's so silly.
Yeah.
But it really, and I mean, something as simple as that. And I've now on my walks, sometimes I'll just start laughing and I look insane, but, but it feels good. And you start feeling like, whew, yeah, okay, I'm releasing some things.
Okay.
Cause I think one of the hardest things to do is to like let go. We're also like tightly wound. And sometimes, if sometimes it feels in a weird way, it feels good to hold on to that tension. It's like it's ours. I'm gonna keep this pain and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna let it go. And realizing that like breathing through it and releasing is so freeing and incredible.
Yeah.
So, and like you do with the box too, like you gave us these little glass bottles that like if you get angry and you like need to break something, you break this. I love
Yeah.
that. It's like it's okay to get angry. If you're angry, yeah, find a constructive
Right.
place to put that anger. And I love the idea of like breaking this bottle. I haven't
Right.
broken mine because I like mine. I didn't want to put it on display.
Right.
But yeah, sometimes I get angry and I just let myself get angry. But I I don't know. I try in terms of my self care like routine. A lot of it is related to like my mornings. I really embrace my morning meditation. I don't
Mhm.
do anything before I just sit and meditate for 10 minutes.
Mhm.
I use this app, Headspace, which I love.
Yes.
And I've
Yes.
been going through the different courses. Right now I'm on the like fear of the future course. Well, which is a big thing for me because sometimes I can be a worrier and I start thinking about, anxiety is the future, depression is the past. We're just trying to stay in the present.
Right.
So I am currently working on that. And yeah, and then I have this box of like animal cards, and every morning I pick an animal card. So today I picked the mouse, which was it said you're overlooking some important details, so pay closer attention. And then sure enough, I had a writing meeting with someone at 2 p.m. that I forgot to put in my calendar. And he calls at 2 p.m. and he's like, "Here we go." And I'm like, "Oh my God, that was, of course, I was overlooking that important detail. Yay, yay." And then, I pick these animal cards every day, and that's it just kind of informs my day and something to keep in mind. So I do that. And And
Yeah.
I also think sweating is so important too. I try to I try to do some form of sweating every day, and just to detox and like get things moving. So yeah, so I think if you can find a way to sweat, whether that's, going for a run, taking a bath. I actually have like a sweat blanket thing. It's like an infrared blanket.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, and you like my mom got it for me years ago, as a gift, and I like get in my little sweat blanket and sweat. It's really cool. It's really cool.
I love it. I mean, so the way that Laura and I actually met was because we both go to Moto Yoga, which
Yeah,
is a hot yoga studio.
yeah.
And as soon as we met and felt like we were going to become friends, it closed
It
down.
closed. Cause yeah,
But we've
exactly.
stayed in touch.
Yeah, I'm so
But
glad.
I really miss that because I know it sounds gross, but I love to sweat. I think it is
Yeah, me too.
amazing.
Yeah,
And I've really missed it. So maybe I need to get myself a sweat blanket.
I think you might. Yeah.
Um, oh, and really quick, because some people have joined, Andrea says the box is brilliant. Everyone needs one. That is so sweet. And just to remind, and if you've just joined, the box is there's a live only discount. It's 30% off now and until 6 p.m. Pacific time, just to give you a little time to go look at the website if you want. And if you buy one box, if you buy two boxes, it's 30% off everything. And the code is in this chat, but it's Unboxing FM for functional medicine. Unboxing FM. Does anyone have a question about self-care? Anybody question on that? There was something you talked about that made me think, but
Oh, the
you
animal
said like
The
so
animal
much stuff good. Oh, the animal. Yes, I have the Wild Unknown tarot deck,
Oh, cool.
and I'll pick, a card because it's just such a great visualization in the
Mhm,
morning.
mhm.
A recent thing that I thought about self-care is I'm so into it, so I create, okay, these are going to be my morning rituals, and then these are going to be my evening rituals, and it gets really extensive. And then it was having the opposite effect where it was actually making me feel bad about myself because I wasn't keeping up with my self-care.
I know. We're so hard on ourselves.
So my new thing is that I'm going to be okay if there are some days where I'm not taking care of myself. I'm going to try, but if some days I get really busy or some days this and that, like that's okay too. And me
Yeah,
being okay with no self-care is also now self-care.
exactly. Exactly. You gotta break the rules sometimes. It's important.
Okay.
I
Thank you everyone for joining. If I want to be respectful of your time, thank you so much, Laura, for coming.
Yeah, thank you. This is so fun.
Yeah, I always have a great time with you. Laura Schein, co-host of What the Func podcast, creator of Emoji Land. The soundtrack's awesome if you want to hear it on Spotify. Oh, and we have to pick a winner. We have to pick a winner for the health consultation. Okay.
Oh,
So I'm going to write down, I came up with this thing. I'm going to write down people's names on the Post-its, and then I'm going to pick one. But I need a second to do that. So let me try and come up with another, what should we talk, another thing about self-care? Or is there
yeah.
another great like podcast episode you did lately?
Well, this was the one we released this week was another episode about the vaccine. So we've done two now. This was a follow-up episode with an update about because the first episode we interviewed this doctor, Felice Gersh, about like Pfizer and Moderna. And she talked all about how it's more of actually Clayton coined it the COVID condom, that it should be called a COVID condom, not a vaccine, because this doctor was talking about how it's like an immunotherapy. That she doesn't even think it should be called a vaccine because we're not actually injecting ourselves with the actual, we're not giving ourselves the virus. It's helping our bodies create this spike protein.
Right.
And it's this messenger RNA that's like going in there and helping our body like create this spike protein. So we released another episode this week that's all about like the Johnson and Johnson and the AstraZeneca and the new ones, and how like, because the Johnson and Johnson one works a little differently, where it's kind of like a Trojan horse going into our bodies, and like it's kind of like it's like disguised inside, and it like goes out into your body and helps like create the spike protein. Anyway, this Dr. Felice Gersh she's very smart and she talks all about it. So we just released that one on Monday.
I definitely have to listen to that one, because I mean, I'm definitely getting the vaccine, but I want to know the differences between all of them.
Yeah. So she really breaks it down in this episode, all the differences between the new one. And it's a short episode. It's just like 36 minutes this week, but just short and sweet, to the point.
Okay. So while Laura was talking about that, I'm just going through it and writing down everyone's names, and I'm almost done. And it's this very official system where I've written them on Post-it notes.
I love
and
it.
crumpled them up. And now I'm mixing them.
Drum roll, please.
And this is to win a consultation with Laura on your health. So it's pretty exciting. And the winner is Spencer.
Ooh!
So I'm scrolling back to get this Spencer. I feel like it was Spencer Broadway. Yes, Spencer Broadway 14.
Yeah!
So Spencer Broadway 14. I'm just writing that whole thing down.
Awesome.
We are going to reach out to you. And thanks to everyone for joining. This was the first of this series. This is the first time I've ever done a live, and I was super nervous. But Laura, you are so easy to talk to, and you just make it so much fun.
Yeah, this was so natural and wonderful. Thank you. I loved it.
Okay. All right. Well, have a great day, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Oh, wait, I'm going to give a little screen. I'm going to screenshot, but then I messed it all up. Okay, there we go. We got it.
Okay. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.